again, we certainly need to get a farm bill done, and we just have a real difference of opinion as to how we get that done and what we need to be doing. So the good news is I talk to members. Every member I talk to wants to get a farm bill done. So I think there's a path forward, and certainly everyone's negotiating in good faith.
Thank you. Let's do it. All right, Senator Luján, thank you for being so patient before as Senator Brown, but thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to both you and the ranking member for this important hearing. Chairman, thank you for being here today. Now, I have a question about a concern that I have that exists, I think, in the U.S. financial system and sector from a rules perspective. But because this hearing is focusing on crypto, my question is pointed towards cryptocurrencies. If a cartel was laundering money from illicit drug sales at the border using cryptocurrency, are there any federal regulations that would require exchanges to report that activity to law enforcement?
Senator, thanks for the question. Under the so the exchanges that currently operate right now, as I pointed out to the chairwoman, are not subject to regulation by a federal regulator for non-security tokens. That said, the exchanges that do participate in this space that are not regulated, again, do comply with various requirements by FinCEN and then money transmitter requirements at the state level. So if there was, in your hypothetical, the cartel intersected with an exchange to move the money, to launder the money, to move it into a different form of currency, then I do believe there would be a requirement at the state level, and then by virtue of the FinCEN requirements to report it. But again, that I think exposes
Report it to who, Chairman?
At the federal level, it would be the Treasury Department's FinCEN, I believe.
So it would get sent to Treasury. So in the same way that a SARS report is held at Treasury if a financial institution is found of wrongdoing or a financial institution is caught laundering money for a cartel or someone else, the current system requires that financial institution to appoint somebody to be approved by Treasury to be the watcher from inside. Sounds like a pretty good gig, but it's the internal person to watch over the alleged wrongdoing and come up with the report for that financial institution to correct its behavior. And then Treasury keeps that report, and Treasury keeps that report in a vault somewhere, apparently. I don't know who gets to see them. No one that I'm aware of. So is it that same reporting that goes to Treasury is what would happen today?
Senator, I can't speak to the SARS process and necessarily where it goes and who sees it. That, again, that's a question probably for Treasury. But knowing the FinCEN requirements, the crime enforcement network at Treasury, and then also the state level money transmitter requirements, again, if there was an intersection with a cartel with one of these exchanges, I do believe through either the FinCEN requirements or the state level requirements, there would be a requirement to report any activity like that.
So for some, yes, for some, no.
It depends how, again, this is really the problem that I think you're rightfully exposing, is that there are gaps all along this chain.
Let me ask the question this way. Why is it important to have federal requirements to report suspicious activity to law enforcement?
Not unlike the question that Senator Grassley provided around whistleblowers, SARS reports, which, as you pointed out, are suspicious activity reports, are extremely important for regulators because we're utilizing the information that institutions have on the inside as they identify suspicious activity, whether it's a transaction or a payment or anything like that. So as much as we have a lot of tools in the regulated space, they're limited. And when we reach that limitation, we do rely on the regulated market to report things to us, which is, again, it's not unlike the whistleblower program or the complaints and tips. So SARS reports are extremely important. They certainly come into play with some of our regulated institutions, which are regulated by multiple regulators. But they are certainly, I think, more prevalent within the banking space and prudential supervisors and regulators.
So I believe suspicious activity reports are a tool to help stop illicit financing. I don't believe there's enough attention brought in the United States to illicit financing. While I supported the legislation that would have provided more support to changing asylum rules in the country and changing investments for border security. No one wants to talk about illicit financing because it's a bunch of folks that wear the nicest suits and the nicest ties and wear the nicest jewelry that get reported for something, maybe even get charged with something, and then they don't go to jail. They get to go swim in their swimming pool in whatever country they choose to go to that weekend. There's not enough attention brought here. So the reason I'm raising this is there's been reports coming out of China that Chinese crime syndicates are using cryptocurrencies to launder billions of dollars, including money raised from fentanyl sales in America. Other countries are cracking down. The United States is not doing a darn thing about this. And I think that this exists across every sector of the false rules that exist within holding people accountable in the United States. With that, Madam Chair, I'll reserve the rest of my questioning, but I hope we can do something about this to be included in this legislation so that we can really get our hands around one of the causes of so many deaths, 100,000 deaths, fentanyl alone in America, because someone's able to make a buck off of it. It's not going to stop until we can shut that valve off. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Luján. I know you have raised this to me